Now that I have my game collection completely assembled, I think it's time to start making some videos. I am your man out of Japan, Jay Contra, and as always, if you want exclusive videos about Japanese retro game collecting, you can head over to my Patreon. So I've got 2 bins full of 90 games, and I don't know what this series is or will become, but I figured why not make some 20-minute chunks talking about some Famicom games, some very, very old Famicom games like Gunhead here, which, correct me if I'm wrong, also came out on the PC Engine, but this is what, for the family computer, is different. I know Gunhead was like a movie back in the 80s that people enjoyed, and there's a couple of games for it. Here we've got the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Konami. Pretty sure it's by Konami. Yeah, I love so what's really interesting to me is a lot of the Konami games have this really cool top label here, but most Famicom cartridges just do not. They're just that. But Turtles. Oh, and then here we go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the Manhattan Project. Love that. Yeah, I love this original artwork. That's so cool. And this is, oh my God, these are like, when did this come out? Oh, this came out in 1991. My God, it's almost 30 years old. What else have we got here? Oh yeah, they're Goonies. Oh, did all my Konami games did I do that on purpose? I don't think I did. Goonies. Oh my God, I love the Goonies. I think the Goonies still holds up. Whenever I hear someone hasn't seen the Goonies, I will show it to them immediately because it is just such a good movie. Gradius. Not a big fan of Gradius. I'm going to be honest. Not a big fan. Kudu Kudu Land, 1984. I actually don't think... I've played this a little bit. Actually, no. The most recent time I played this was when I was playing Animal Crossing for the GameCube. I happened to get I got the Kudu Kudu Land like little Nintendo that I put in my house, and it's fun for a little bit. Cosmic Wars. I think this is a shooter. I wish I could put a counter on the bottom left of these videos to just show all the games that I haven't played yet. Oh yeah, and then here's Takeshi no Chosenjo. This game is just ridiculous, and I don't think I would recommend actually playing it because it just pranks you. It's just like, what is the most ridiculous way you can get out of this thing? Oh yeah, that's probably the way you ought to go. Go the original Golf. I love the original, and I don't think I'm looking through. No, so this is the original 1984 release. The first 20 Famicom games look like this. Actually, yeah, we can go from Golf. Golf's actually pretty playable today, and baseball is actually still really good. I think baseball is actually one of my preferred baseball games. Not that I enjoy sports games that much, but if you look at these in 1983 and 1984, the games that Nintendo itself was releasing came in pretty much just different colors of the same theme. I love it. It's very early 1980s, right before that transition to sort of loud, popping style aesthetic that would take over the 1980s. Oh yeah, let's take off some of the top ones. Here we've got the original Rockman. This used to be really expensive. This used to be like $60, but now even in the Tokyo area, it's gone down to like 40. The original Rockman, still really good. A little bit rough around the edges. I don't think it would really take shape until you got to Rockman 2. Mega Man 2 is an amazing game. I will admit to never having been able to beat the original Rockman games on the original systems, but I have beaten them playing some of the collections and using save states. That's because not a very good gamer. And then we've got, what is this? Popeye's Eigo no Asobi. This is where you like Popeye and you're running around on a screen trying to spell out words. It's really weird. Don't think I can necessarily recommend it. It's fun for an hour, and especially when you see just the weird spellings, because it's a whole thing. It's like, trying to learn English 40 years ago. Here's Baltron. Oh, this goes in the haven't played pile. Oh, Parodius. Parodius is good though. I love Parodius. It's sort of the parodic take on Gradius. Nice to see that Konami can sometimes have a sense of humor, even though it might be hard to see that these days. Then we get Pinball. I feel like I've played Pinball probably a little bit. It's, you play Pokemon Pinball. That's probably going to be the better game that you're going to want to play. Then we come to Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy. Look at this art, my dudes. Look at that. That is so good. I cannot, Final Fantasy, when did this come out? Was this oh man, oh yeah, look at this is rough. That's rough. This is how I got it. This is just what happens to Famicom cartridges. But just that original art is so beautiful. Look at that. I like the original Final Fantasies are really rough. I don't think they get good until around 4. That's my personal opinion. But at least the art is still, it's timeless. You're not going to get better than this. And Final Fantasy 2, wasn't there a strategy in Final Fantasy 2 where you can just like attack your own party members and that's how you increase your defense so quickly? Is because in that game there's not really like traditional levels. You gain skills by actually using them. So like if you want to increase your magic skill, you just use more magic. Final Fantasy 2 is really weird. Really weird. Final Fantasy 3 is pretty good. Here we go, the original Popeye. This will never ever be re-released. Now this is interesting. So it says the copyright on here is 1982, but this is a 1983. I think this is a launch game for the Famicom. Like that's like, think about this. This was, now it's, oh God, 37 years ago. Nintendo was like, all right, what is the one property that we can launch? Well, alongside Donkey Kong, what are we going to launch the Famicom with? This is going to absolutely change the next 40 years of video gaming. Oh yeah, Popeye. Okay, sure. Okay, move that aside. What else have we got? Oh, and then here we get Donkey Kong Jr.'s Fun with Math. This did get a release outside of Japan, if I'm not mistaken. It's okay. I mean, it's for kids. It's for kids. Oh, and then this, yes, because I do not have the original, I don't have this complete in box. I only have the cartridge. But still, what a beautiful cartridge. This is, so if you look at something like Popeye, I don't think got the re-release. But if you look at, so if you say like if I had Super Mario Brothers, which I'm sure I do, so the original Mario Brothers in here. Some of these games were released like in this style, but then they were re-released with a nice image, as well as the title there on the left. So there are essentially, I don't think this got re-released, but there are a bunch of copies of like Donkey Kong and Tennis and Golf that were released in this form in their original 1983, 1984 format. And then I think later in 1984 and in 1985, they ended up getting re-released in similar packaging, but the cartridges have different labels on them. I don't know if the games themselves are any different. Here we go. Oh, Super Mario USA. This is Super Mario 2. Very fun. I've never actually, it's one of the few Mario games that I have not completed. I don't think I've ever actually cleared Super Mario 2, now that I think about it. That's, again, but just, I love these cartridges. This is something that I think we miss from having the big cartridges. Now that we've got like Switch cartridges that are like, no bigger than your thumb. You don't get this, you get cool artwork, but it's so small. It's like artwork for ants. 1943. Still, I think it's pretty good. I love, my favorite genre of shooter is like 1940s World War II aesthetic shooters. 1943 is very much one of those. It's a very good game. Oh, and then Famicom Wars. I am a huge fan of the Wars series, like Advanced Wars, the Advanced Wars that was on the DS. This is the OG. I don't know if I can recommend it, though, because it is rough. The animations are slow. There's no real story to it. You're just kind of facing a computer on a map. It's still cool to have. I wish I had this complete in box. The cartridge is like $7. The complete in box is like $20. I just never got around to getting the complete box. But look at that art. Like, what? Okay. All right. Sure. Never got released in America. I actually don't think the Wars series got released in America until Advance Wars, even though there was one for the Super Nintendo, and then there were a couple of others that were released for the Game Boy, which I've got floating around somewhere. Here's the original Mahjong. I actually had to learn Mahjong to do some reviews for the N64 and the Famicom cards. Image Fight. This is actually, I think, slightly sought after now. It's maybe a $20 cartridge. I'm pretty sure it's a shooter. This goes on the shame pile. It's another shame game. Empire Strikes Back. I actually got this from Mandarake. This is not a great game. I love like the Super Star Wars series, even though people say they're hard. Yeah, they're difficult, but this I just found to have not a ton of redeeming quality to it. Gonna be honest. What do we got here? Oh yeah, Fuzzical Fighter. This is just so weird. The artwork just told me that I had to get this because it just looks so weird. It's a 1991 game, so it's coming out after the Super Nintendo had released in Japan. So it's like, okay, all right, Sigma, all right, you made the decision to come out with a shooter for the Famicom. But I mean, that's Exatsoft did that, and they made one of the best shooters of all time. And then, oh yeah, Gardek Gaiden. This has an amazing box, However, the game itself, the gameplay is good. Do not get me wrong. The gameplay of Gardek Gaiden is good. But the sound is just so grating. Like when you're just shooting your main gun, just it like lodges in my brain that I cannot play this game. Great game, terrible sound. If they would just fix the sound, I'd have a lot more fun with that game. Why don't we go? Oh, yes, here we go. So I'm going to show you some of the Zapper games for the Famicom. We've got Hogan's Alley here. This is based on some like FBI training ground. This is fairly fun. I would say Duck Hunt is probably the game to get if you want to play the Zapper games. Wild Gunman's also pretty good. And these are all actually on purple cartridges. Here we've also got Wild Gunman. All of these, I think, are still playable today. Unfortunately, you need to have access to an original CRT. I think someone might have come up with some HDMI solution to get your Zapper to work, but that's going to cost you a little bit extra money. But then again, if you don't have a CRT, that's going to cost you some extra money too. What else do we have here? Oh, Ikari 3. Yeah, for some reason, I have Ikari 3, but not the previous two. I think I just saw it and was like, oh yeah, Ikari's supposed to be pretty good. So I picked up number 3. And that's what I've got. Look at. Okay, moving on. Oh yes, Bionic Commando. So in Japanese, this is known as Hitaro no Fukkatsu, top secret. It is known as Hitler's Revival in Japan, and because it uses a lot of like Nazi imagery. You're pretty much just trying to fight Hitler, which is really good. That's what you should be doing. But in America, just for some reason, they decided to call it Bionic Commando. I don't know what the thought process was. I mean, maybe in the 80s, maybe it was just still, I don't know. And here we go, Load Runner. Nuts and Milk. Do I have Nuts and Milk in here? It's here somewhere. Okay, yeah, no, Load Runner is one of the first third-party games to come out for the the original Famicom. Excuse me, my brain's getting ahead of myself. And Nuts and Milk I have in here, but I cannot see it in the. Is it this one? No. All right, Wrecking Crew. This is mostly, I would say, known today as a stage in Super Smash Brothers. That's what you're going to know Wrecking Crew from, most likely. Yes, here's Mega Man 4. This is actually, if you could find the gold cartridge of Mega Man 4, that is easily worth like 10 grand today. That is, I remember seeing it years ago at a Super Potato for like $5,000. That would have been a steal today. There was only like 6 or 8 of them ever made. They were basically prizes where you submitted in a drawing for a boss, and if Capcom liked it, they sent you a cartridge. And actually, some famous artist today, I think he's like the guy who draws One Punch Man, but I could be wrong. There is some famous Japanese artist today that actually won that contest when he was a kid, and now he's a big deal today, so just launched him to stardom. Got the Donald Duck. I love the Disney games for the Famicom. Those are really cool. Oh yeah, and then here's Willow. Willow, do you remember Willow back from the 1980s, the Lucasfilm movie? They should have been working on Star Wars, but instead they made Willow. I think my dad has this on VHS somewhere. That's the only way I've ever seen it. I never saw it in the theater, but then again, I guess I wasn't alive when it came out. Urban Champion, it's okay. Urban Champion's fine. It's a fine game. It's okay. There's definitely been better brawlers that came out. Metal Gear, the original Metal Gear that came out for the Famicom, actually the original came out for the MSX. So much so that I think Kojima basically has disavowed the NES / Famicom version of Metal Gear because it just changes so much. It's still a really good game. And I know the MSX version was ported to the PlayStation 2 / PlayStation 3 when they came out with the collections for Metal Gear then. But the OG, this is probably the easiest way you're going to play it. It did come out. Yeah, the MSX version was never ported in English or localized, but the Famicom version was. Oh, yes, the original Mario Brothers. This is... It's if you can play it with someone, if you have a friend that you can play the original Mario Brothers with, go ahead, but I don't think it's really a good single-player game these days. F1 Race, however, this is Nintendo's racing game. Nintendo, even before Mario Kart was making racing games, F1 Race is still pretty good. Once you get used to kind of the controls are a little weird, but F1 Race is actually still, I think it's still pretty good. Probably the best racing game to come out in 1984. Not that there were many others. Oh, Mappy. Yeah, Mappy's really weird. you're like a little mouse and you're just running around like houses, but I don't think you can attack anybody. You just have to like dodge all these guys and collect stuff. I played this years ago. My memory's fading me on that. I don't have tons of memories on Mappy. Oh, now my phone's going off. It is surprising to me how expensive the original Mother has become, especially because maybe it's the foreign collectors coming into Japan and picking it up, but really you're just buying it to have it. For one, because it's all in Japanese, and for two, it is actually like really difficult. I'm going to spit hot fire here and say that I don't much care for Earthbound as a game. I think it's got a great story. It is fun, but the gameplay, I think, is a little lacking. The original Mother is hard and annoying, and I don't recommend playing it as a game. I'm sure the story's great, and if you could have someone tell you the story of Mother, I think it would be a lot better than actually playing it. Please don't unsubscribe. Then we come to Mighty Final Fight. This is something a little overlooked title in the Final Fight series. I think I put a little bit of time into this, but this came out in 1993. Oh my God, they were coming out with games in 1993 for the Famicom. Oh my God. I love the Final Fight series. Big fan of Final Fight 2. And then Donkey Kong Jr., they really spiced up Donkey Kong with this game. Still pretty good, pretty good. And the white cartridge it actually hasn't yellowed all that much. I think you're getting some of the yellow overhead light here, but it's still like, this is surprisingly in great shape, given how awful like the white plastics you find that like consoles turn yellow quite easily. Not so with that cartridge. And then Donkey Kong 3, a weird twist in Donkey Kong. Like, you're not Mario, you're some like bug catcher guy that's got like a little like Victorian little like pump that shoots out like bug repellent. It's such a weird game. It's like if you're going from if you're going from the original Donkey Kong to Donkey Kong 3, you're just like, what's going on? They shaked it up. They really shook it up with those Donkey Kong games. And then I think, this is what I want to end it on. This is Top Gun. This is a much maligned game. You may remember seeing this game reviewed by the Angry Video Game Nerd. I actually don't think Top Gun is that bad of a game. I actually really enjoyed myself. Yes, it is hard to land on the carrier, but the actual like dogfights are pretty fun. I think Top Gun's, like, if you can find it for like $1 or $2, it's worth it, I would say. So with that, I am going to end this video. I've still got probably make 2 more videos out of all this stuff. But this has just been a small slice of all of the Famicom games that I have. I think what I want to do is I'll show off some more cartridges in the next video, and then we're going to like dive deep into the boxes that I have. And that might be interesting for people to just see what the original Famicom games look like and go through the manuals and all the ephemera that's included. But that's the end of this video. I've been your man out of Japan, Jay Contra. Thanks for watching, and mahalo.